It's in our nature to protect the ones we love, to stand up to any danger, to be strong and courageous, to always be prepared, to keep our family safe, to be the first line of defense. We are born to protect.
What's up and welcome to the channel. My name is Hellcat and thank you for joining us. Today I'm going to try to show you a variety of firearms, do some comparisons here, and hopefully give you an idea of the differences between these guns. Because one of the most common questions that I get is, hey, I'm buying my first gun. What type of gun should I get? And I really do get this all the time, which is great. That's telling me there's a lot of new gun owners coming in. All of us kind of know that from the events of this past year, and that's a really good thing. So hopefully I can break it down, and I'm calling this like the top tier guns, but they're top tiered in the striker fired realm, which is really the most popular way to go now, because you get really good capacity, you get a decent trigger, and you get a really good gun that's easy to break down, easy to maintain, and things like that. So these are the upper end firearms, mid to upper range, I would say here. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about features. I'm not going to be talking about specs, and I'm not going to, that kind of stuff. We'll do some comparison, of course, but I'm talking about what makes these guns unique and what you can look for in the lineup. Maybe they share some similarities and things like that. So let's start with one that I haven't done a lot of work with, but I've done a few, and that's Springfield Armory. So this is the new Hellcat. It's very impressive. It's 11+1 capacity in a gun that is really not large at all. Now, keep in mind, the smaller the gun, the more recoil you're generally going to have, because there's less mass to suck up that recoil. There's going to be less to hold on to, so it may be a little bit harder to shoot. The point with Springfield Armory, this one is a little bit different than the other ones. Their XD lineup is really popular, comes with a grip safety and things like that. This is a newer version of the Springfield Armory, where they have this really nice stippling on the grip here, and up here, a little place right there where you can rest your finger as well. Front and rear slide serrations. You actually have U-notch style sights in the rear with a bright front fiber optic. You always get the cross cannon logo in the slide. That's just a Springfield Armory type of thing. But they make really good guns, and they're made in Croatia, but still they're pretty awesome guns, and they've gained a reputation for being that a more of a simpler design. A lot of them have the grip safety, which is just a part of their thing, but for some people and newer gun owners, that makes them feel a little bit better, because if I don't imagine this one has a grip safety. If it does, there's no way for you to pull the trigger back to the rear unless the grip safety is engaged, and the only way for that to happen is if you have a proper grip on the firearm. So it works as an additional safety, which a lot of new gun owners really like having external safeties and things like that. We'll save that debate or whatever for another day, but the point is that a lot of new gun owners like that, and I get that because I was the same way. You're going to get decent triggers and things like that, but it's nothing spectacular. But this gun in and of itself is actually a really good one. Springfield Armory, to me, when we're talking about this lineup, they're my least favorite. Okay, you'll see that if you watch our channel at any amount, a length of time, you probably already know that. Let's go to H&K. So H&K makes some really nice firearms, and what you're going to get is you're going to get quality German-made firearms with a little bit different design. So this is the HK VP9. You'll notice the magazine release is a little bit different. All these guns have been safety checked too, by the way. So on a traditional Americanized version of anything, you're going to get a standard button magazine release. H&K on their VP9 lineup has not gone to that. They actually have this paddle right here. All right, so you push down on that paddle, the magazine pops out. It's fully ambidextrous, all the time ambidextrous, just naturally the way it is. Takes a little bit of getting used to, but man, it is a really clever and quick design to get that magazine out of there. I really actually like that design a lot. It's not what I'm used to full time, but I'm used to this gun, so I'm pretty good with it. But the point is you get that German design, which I think is really, really cool. Front and rear slide serrations, and the biggest thing with the VP9 series, there's a full-size version of this gun as well that we've done in the past, is these grip panels right here. So I can punch this little pin out, I can pull the back strap off, and that's most of the time what you're gonna get. So let me pull this Smith & Wesson over here. So on most guns, this back panel is the only thing that comes off. Well, on the H&K, what they've done is they have the side panels right here along with the back strap that you can fully customize all the way around. So it's going to be better at fitting more and a variety of hands out there. So that's a pretty cool thing. Also, they have these little ears on the back, so you'll see these little polymer things that are sticking out from the slide. That helps with charging the gun. All right, so if you have weaker hands or slippery conditions or anything like that, it actually gives you a little bit more grip right there so you can pull that slide back to the rear. Awesome trigger on the VP9s, man. HK, I love HK. And the trigger on the VP9 is one of the best striker fireds that I've ever pulled, and I continue to love this gun. This one actually has the luminescent type sights, so they're not night sights, but they're really bright out in the daytime, and they glow pretty good. Slide release right here is ambidextrous as well. So that's the H&K. Let's go to Smith & Wesson, another one of my favorite brands here, and what they offer you is more of a budget-friendly option that still performs like any of these others, sometimes maybe better. And these things have a great point of aim. So the way the gun sits in your hand, it's very natural. When you pull the gun up, it seems like the sights are right there on target. This one's a little bit more tricked out with a ported barrel and cuts up here on the top of the slide so you can put a red dot. But in general, it's an M&P. The second generation is really the way to go because they've updated the grip texturing. The triggers on the original ones weren't that great, and now they've updated them to where they are pretty dang good. You'll notice that the trigger looks a little bit different. Again, these are safety check, but notice how that trigger kind of looks like it's broken in the middle, so that's a part of their safety there. So if you pull it from the top, you're not going to get any kind of action there. You have to pull it directly in the middle. That trigger starts to straighten out, and again, it works like a safe action. So all of these guns have some form of safe action, because without external safeties, you have to have internal safeties. That way, if it's dropped or anything like that, it'll still be safe. So what you have in here is you have a spring with a striker mechanism, and this right here actually helps to release that striker or the firing pin block. So the firing pin can't go forward if that little piece is right there is not pulled. Same way on the Springfield here. See that little dingish right there? If it's not pulled, then it will not allow that firing pin to go forward and hit the back of the primer. So it's a part of their safety. Smith & Wesson just does it a little bit different with that hinge design. So it makes you have to pull this correctly in the middle, and that's what that is. But these guns are really on the more budget side of things, which is great in this class. Now, I say that this is more of the upper end tier, but just because they are a lot of times cheaper than a lot of these guns on the table doesn't mean you get any less quality here, because you don't. These things are fantastic. They feel good in the hand. You can change the palm swells like I talked about before. You have a great grip texturing. You have fish scale style serrations, so they do look a little bit different in that way, but they work great. And the guns are just easy to use. And the one thing with Smith & Wesson is you're going to get a variety. So where I have the regular M2.0 9mm here, you also have their subcompact now. All right, so this is a 12-round gun, but notice something about it. Very similar in its design. You just step down in size there. So if you want something for the range or home defense or competition, there you go. And then something that you can carry a little bit easier, this may be a good option with very good capacity as well. But they keep the line consistent, so that way fans of the Smith & Wesson will be very familiar with this. They also have their Easy line that I've done before, which is very well suited for older folks or women or people just in general that have a hard time pulling these slides. The Easy is really super easy. It's got an internal hammer instead of a striker, and they have that for folks like, and I guess it's been super popular, which is a good thing. So that's a Smith & Wesson, man. Definitely don't overlook the Smith & Wesson. I've talked to a lot of people looking at their first gun, and a lot of people don't even mention Smith & Wesson. And it boggles my mind, man, because they make an awesome striker fire gun. Don't leave those guys out, man. If you have a local gun shop that'll let you go in there, take a look around, you know, hold different guns and things like that, that's really the best way. Or even better, if you can rent one, that'd be even better. Let's go to another one that a lot of people don't mention, man, but definitely don't leave it off of the list. CZ. All right, this is their striker fired version. This is the P10S, and what you're going to get here again is, you know, some of their guns can be pretty expensive, but this lineup really is not. You're going to get blacked out rear sights with a bright fiber optic there in the front, so it's really easy contrast there to pick up. And in general, it's pretty simple. I mean, you have a backstrap option here that you can change out. You have very limited amount of stippling, but it's stippling where it really matters. But one thing I will say about this gun is the trigger is absolutely fantastic. Notice how it has more of a flat design as opposed to a heavy curve like some of these other ones. The flatter, generally speaking, the better, because that allows you to pull that trigger straight back to the rear and get shots on target. So where maybe you're like, I'm not really great with the Smith & Wesson for whatever reason, or I'm not good with the Sig or whatever, maybe try the CZ, because I think you'll be really impressed at how good this gun shoots. These things are, I'm telling you, man, they're one of my favorite types of guns now. I overlooked them for a very long time, and it's a shame that I did that, but I no longer overlook CZ because they just make an awesome firearm. Speaking of consistency, so here's the big brother to this gun right here, and check out, again, what they do. Now, they did redesign the magazine release because on the P10C, it's like really hard, really stiff there, that magazine release is. They redesigned it this time, so it's much easier to get those mags out of there. But they kept the lineup consistent. Notice your slide serrations in the same spot. They don't go all the way to the top. They just have a lot of real estate there on the slide. So press checks or just racking the slide, charging the gun up in general is very easy to do on this gun. They have stippling up here. They make it really nice. You have a pick rail that's similar to a Glock. And again, now this one is a little bit different. You actually have these white night sights in the rear with an orange dot. But in general, man, these things are just awesome. CZ is definitely one I have grown to love over the past year or two. Let's go to one. This one, you may be thinking, hey, that has a hammer. This one shouldn't count. You're right, but what I want to say with this is I don't have one of the updated FNs to show you, but the FN9C is one I've done in the past, and FN, their striker fired guns are awesome, but they are truly pretty much like military type of guns. They're very aggressive in the grip texturing, which if you have gloved hands or anything like that, that's not going to really mean a whole lot to you. They have slide serrations that are very aggressive style, front and rear. You can see they're kind of placed in different spots, very strategically. High night sights on this version. Most of the versions come with night sights and stuff. So this is an awesome gun. Again, FN makes a fantastic gun, so it's definitely one you would want to check out as well. Their 509 series is the one I'm really referring to. Let's move to Glock, and you're going to hear a lot about Glock coming into this world. You're going to hear a lot about Glock. The Glock 19, probably, I don't know, maybe the best-selling handgun on the planet. I don't want, and there's good reason, because Glock is very simple. You notice that you have a lot of these guns have a lot of features and things going on, where Glock really does not. You have rear slide serrations. You don't have any on the front. Now, there are versions with front slide serrations. These just do not, and most of them do not have them. Your oversized magazine release here, you have your slide stop here, which is very small. Everything is simple. You have a really low bore axis. So what that means is that the gun sits lower in your hand, which generally relates to a little less muzzle rise, okay? I don't really notice that. I notice it a little bit, but not enough where it would keep me from any of these other guns. But it is a point to make there. Magazine compatibility. So a lot of these guns and magazines are compatible within the lineup. All right, but Glock is known for that. So where I have this 10-round Glock 26, all the way up 15 rounds, it's going to work. Their 33-round mag is going to work, and that's the great thing about Glocks. Now, the only thing I will say is that some people say every Glock is the same. I say yes, except for the 42 and the 43, because those guns, to me, don't feel anything like traditional Glocks, and their mags aren't compatible or anything like that. So take that for what it's worth. This is a Gen 4, so it has the finger grooves. The Gen 5 does not have the finger grooves. It has a couple of other little changes and stuff. But for all intents and purposes, what you're going to get is standard sights. Okay, so these are Gen 4s right here. Gen 3s, you can tell the difference with the Gen 3s because they have a smaller, like take this magazine release and basically cut it into a third, and that's all you have as far as the magazine release. So this is their oversized. And then Gen 5, don't pay attention to this right here. We're doing some testing with this, that a little attachment kit that you can use with this. It kind of folds out, whatever the case may be. I just leave it on there because it has 2 little Allen screws. So just disregard that. But what I do want to show you, if you look in here, you have your sights right there. This is just standard sights that come on most Glocks. You can get them with night sights, but this is what you're going to get most of the time. You can easily change that out, and that's what I do on most of my Glocks there. But this is a Gen 5. You can see the finger grooves are now gone in the front there, so it makes it a little bit more comfortable to hold on to, and you don't have to, worry about your fingers lining up. It just, it works. They have a backstrap system that rides in these channels, so they're going to give you a variety of backstraps to use. Your stippling on your grip is going to be a little bit more subtle on these, whereas the M&P is amazing, the HK is amazing, the Springfield is fantastic. This is a little bit more subtle, okay? Standard type of trigger with that safe action design, okay? And most guns now come without a safety, but there are some that come with a safety. Smith & Wesson being one of those, if that's something that you truly want on your firearm. The next one I'm going to show you, actually, you can get a model with the safety as well. But they're really easy to use, and most of the time, they're going to work. Every gun you see on this table, I've had really good luck with. Any man-made object can fail, but with a handgun, and especially a self-defense handgun or any type of gun, you want it to work. Glock is known for that, and Glock kind of pioneered this whole striker-fired thing. They weren't the first to do it, HK was, but they really pioneered it and made it super popular, all right? So anytime you see a Glock, I respect Glock. I love what they do, and I love what they've done for handguns in general, because every gun you see on this table in some way is inspired by this design right here, and I really respect it. They're not my favorite, but I really respect it, and it's good at a lot of things. It's not the best at any of them, but it's really good at a lot of things, and most things that it does, so I really respect that there. So there's your Gen 5 there, but they're going to be very consistent across the board. You're going to get a very simple gun to maintain, very simple gun with features, but one that's going to work most of the time. And let's be honest, that's really what it's all about. Of course, you have versions just like the Smith & Wesson, just like this FN, where you have these removable plates, because optics in the handgun world has become such a popular thing. CZ is doing that. This version doesn't have that, but they have removable plates. Springfield, Armory, this plate right here, you can remove that plate. So most of your manufacturers are doing that now, where you can put optics on top there, because again, it's just become so popular there to do. HK, they're actually doing that as well. That version doesn't have it, but they are doing that as well. So there you go. There's Glock. They are a great gun. There's not much I can say about them as far as features and all this kind of stuff, but they work, and they really are a great gun. The last one I'm going to bring in here is one of my favorites, and this is the Sig P320. This one specifically is the RX. It comes with this optic as you see it here. What's really cool is, whereas most of your manufacturers, you're going to get these backstrap options, Sig went a different route. So basically, I can break this gun down, I can pull the whole firing mechanism out, and now I can change this lower grip module to a small, medium, or large to fit my hands better. And they're not that expensive. So you can change those out if it gets cracked along the way or whatever the case may be. You can actually change those. So that's pretty cool and different. Their grip texturing is fantastic. It's subtle enough, but it's aggressive enough, really. We live down here in the South, so it gets really hot during the summers. It's warm pretty much all year round. So your hands are sweating. My hands sweat really bad. So I love a good grip texturing, something more aggressive than not. Where Mrs. Heckshot generally likes something a little more subtle, so that's just a personal kind of preference. You get slide serrations. They're more angled forward, front, and rear. Sig Light night sights are something I like. They're not the greatest in the daytime. They work pretty good at night. They're not the greatest, really, night sight out there, but they do a pretty decent job. This one just happens to be the compact. All right, so they have a subcompact, which is 12 rounds, which they don't really make anymore. This one's the compact. Sig makes a fantastic firearm. And then this is their M17, which is about the closest thing you can get to the actual military handgun, because this is what our U.S. Army now carries, which, again, has that removable plate, so you can put an optic on top. But you can tell the similarities in the P320 lineup as well. The slide serrations. Trigger looks a little bit different, but it's almost the same. It's got a very short travel to it, all right? Not the best trigger and not the lightest, but it's got a very short travel, and these guns are generally pretty dang accurate, man. I absolutely love shooting the P320 platform. It's just a great gun for you know, pinpoint type of accuracy. I don't see them as that. Not the P320 lineup anyways, but for self-defense, accuracy, totally acceptable. And these guns have just, to me, they're one of the best striker fire guns out there. If you're going to ask me my favorite on the table, because I may get this question, Sig P320 is definitely up there. The VP9 is definitely up there. And the Smith & Wesson. Those are really my favorites. And then we go to CZ probably. Then Glock probably. So yeah, it gets kind of, you know, really I like them all. But Sig and HK are probably my favorites, along with Smith & Wesson on this table right here. Another brand that I definitely wanted to mention is Walther, their PPQ lineup specifically, which fits in the same realm. They make some amazing handguns, and they have one of the better striker-fired triggers as far as the PPQ there. So a lot of great options, a lot to look at, but at least now you get an idea of where these guns fit, what kind of features make them unique, and hopefully it can help you out. So let's say this, what feature drew you to your specific brand of pistol, or what is really drawing you to a specific brand if you haven't gotten your first gun yet, or whatever the case may be? What are you really looking at? Because again, reliability, we all know that that's super important, but there are certain features and stuff that make each one of these guns more unique, easier to shoot, better to shoot, whatever the case may be. So there you go. There's my opinion on these firearms. Leave your comments down below. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.